And welcome back. I want to give you guys an update regarding brand new home sales in the US as well as housing inventory for brand new houses as well. This is because today, which is January 26th, the US Census Bureau just announced December's numbers. So I'm going to take a deep dive into what we're seeing right now regarding brand new home sales in the US as well as housing inventory as well. Again, this was posted on Thursday, January 26th. For December brand new home sales. And by the way, this report right here only covers brand new single family houses. So all the stats I'm sharing in today's video have to do with brand new single family houses and obviously excludes multifamily properties and of course commercial properties as well. And by the way, a friendly reminder, I make this a friendly reminder every single month here, but a brand new home sale, quote unquote, is defined as a deposit taken or a sales agreement signed between a buyer and a home builder. In other words, this is really acting more like a pending home sale and not a closed home sale. So these are based on contracts being signed between buyers and sellers, and the seller, of course, would be a home builder. And speaking of brand new home sales, again, more like a pending home sale, these are numbers we saw for December. An increase of 2.3% from 1 month ago. That was from November 2022 through December 2022. An increase of 2.3%, but still a decrease by about 27% on a year-over-year basis, down by 26.6%. So for December, and by the way, these numbers right here are in thousands of units, and also they're seasonally adjusted. The sales numbers right here are seasonally adjusted annualized rates, whereas the numbers of houses for sale are seasonally adjusted, but they're not annualized. So when talking about home sales, these are in thousands of units. They're seasonally adjusted, as well as these are annualized rates here. Hope that makes sense. Anyways, for December, there was 616,000 new home sales, again, for single family based on contracts being signed. And again, that's the annualized rate, 616,000. That actually was in line with forecasts because the forecast, or the street's forecast, was for 617,000 on a seasonally adjusted annualized rate, and the actual number came in at 616,000. Again, only for single family houses. What's interesting to see the trends here regarding each of these four major regions in the US, the Northeast, the Midwest, the South, and the West. Look at this, because on a year-over-year basis, every single region recorded decreases on a year-over-year basis by double digits. In fact, the West by far had the biggest decrease by almost down by 50%. Approximately 50% fewer contracts being signed between buyers and sellers, or buyers and builders, compared to December 2021. Vastly different compared to the South, only down by 17.5%. Also on a month-to-month basis, there's some very big differences here as well, because the Northeast fell the most, down 19.4%, not too much below the levels in the West, down by 15.3%. But in stark contrast, though, in the Midwest, it increased by 35.2%, and the South increased by 6.5%. In regards to brand new single family houses, here's a look at Uncle Fred's website here regarding home sales over the past 5 years. So we did see a slight increase over the past 2 months in brand new single family home sales in the US on an annualized basis, have increased ever since October 2022. A slight increase over the past 2 months here. But here's something, or actually two things I actually want to mention though, because when looking at the trend line here, home sales really peaked in August of 2020, when at that time the annualized rate was 1,036,000 home sales. And now for December, it decreased to 616,000. So more or less, the sales trend has been more or less decreasing ever since then. That's number one. Number two here, this is something I noticed as well, that at 616,000, this is actually below pre-COVID levels, because 616,000 as of December 2022 is actually the lowest levels going back to January of 2019. In other words, when looking at levels on pre-COVID, we're at the lowest levels since January of 2019. On top of that, when comparing levels as of December 2022 compared to the peak, which was August 2020, brand new single-family home sales have decreased approximately 40.5% over that time period. And by the way, of course, you may be thinking that, of course, we'll have more home sales in the summer months compared to December. But keep in mind, though, these are actually seasonally adjusted rates here. Therefore, they're adjusted based on the seasonality of our housing market, where we tend to see much more home sales in the spring and summer months compared to December each year, for example. In any case, let's get back to the US Census Bureau's report because it actually shared how many home sales there were in 2022. So in 2022, there was 644,000 brand new single-family home sales in the US, and that's a 16.4% decrease compared to 2021. Back in 2021, there was 771,000. All right, changing gears slightly here, let's talk about housing inventory for brand new single-family houses. So the number of houses for sale here are not annualized rates. These are actual rates here, or actual numbers right here, but they're seasonally adjusted though. So for December 2022, there was 461,000 single-family houses for sale. And that was flat compared to November, but an increase of 18.5% compared to December of 2021. And speaking of homes for sale in the US, let's have a look at Uncle Fred's website right here. So brand new single-family houses, again, there's approximately 461,000 as of the end of December, which was flat compared to last month and a slight decrease compared to October of last year when there's approximately 469,000. So the current levels we have right now at 461,000 is obviously much higher compared to the lows we saw back in October 2020 when there's approximately 281,000. Also, the levels we have right now at 461,000 is much higher compared to pre-COVID levels when they had approximately 300,000 to approximately 350,000 houses for sale. Also, when looking at this chart going back to 2004, the current levels right now at 461,000, excluding October of last year at 469,000, we're at the highest levels since March of 2008, when at that time there was approximately 470,000 new single-family houses for sale in the US. And speaking of an increase of housing supply, have a look at this because the month supply of brand new single-family houses is sitting at 9 months. That's actually a decrease of 2.2% compared to last month, but a giant increase of 60.7% compared to 12 months ago. So the month supply right now is at 9 months, but this number here has been decreasing really ever since October last year. So for 3 consecutive months now, the month supply has actually been slightly decreasing compared to the high we saw back in September actually of last year. Also 12 months ago, the month supply was at 5.6 months. Now it's at 9 months. Also, to give you guys some context regarding this figure right here at 9 months, it's more normal to have the month supply for new houses to be in the range of 4 to 6 months and not 9 months, of course. And by the way, the all-time record high was 12.1 months that was set in January of 2009. In contrast, though, the all-time record low was at 3.5 months that was set in October of 2020. And by the way, I think I misspoke here because looking at Fred's graph right here, the month supply hit an all-time record low back in August of 2020 when the month supply was at 3.3 months. In October, it actually was at 3.4 months. So my apologies, off by 0.1. But the current levels right now at 9 months is obviously much higher compared to historical levels because look at this. At 9 months, well above levels we saw back in pre-COVID when the month supply was around 5.6 to around 6 months for housing supply. Also, when widening this out, going back to 2007, the current levels right now at 9 months, going back to pre-COVID levels, this is the highest levels since May of 2009. One thing I do want to mention regarding this high number at 9 months is that it's kind of really hard to compare this to pre-COVID levels because back in 2018, 2019, we didn't have all these construction delays that builders have been encountering or facing over the past several years. So one of the reasons why this month supply is so much higher compared to pre-COVID levels is because builders have been still facing delays in construction. And therefore, it's taking longer for houses to build in the US right now. Okay, changing gears slightly here, let's talk about home prices for brand new houses. Because the median sold price in December 2022 was $442,100. 1 month ago, or I should say back in November, the median sold price was actually at $459,000. And by my math, that's a 4% decrease on a month-to-month basis. Also, compared to 12 months ago, the median sold price was at $410,000. In other words, home prices increased by 8% over the past 12 months. Now, having said that, the sample sizes for brand new single family home sales is actually a lot less than existing homes. So here's exactly what I mean by that. In December last month, there was only 47,000 brand new single family home sales in the US. So 47,000 new home sales in December. When you compare this to existing houses, there's approximately 300,000 home sales for existing houses, but only 47,000 for brand new houses. So when looking at the median sold price each month over the past 12 months, you can see there's some very, very big differences here because the prices tend to fluctuate quite a bit. Look at this. In August 2022, at 440,000, the previous month was 478. Fast forward to September, it jumped to 477,000. But that's because the sample size, or I should say, in my personal opinion, the reason why we have this big fluctuations in home prices is because the sample sizes are very, very small, at least when you compare that to existing houses, for example. To give you guys some ideas regarding the changes in home prices for brand new houses, have a look at Uncle Fred's website right here. So again, $442,100 was the median sold price in December, which is actually the second consecutive decrease for home prices. But at $442,000, look at this, because in, April 2020, home prices were at $310,000. In other words, home prices for brand new single family houses have increased approximately 42.6% ever since April of 2020. On top of that, when looking at home prices compared to pre-COVID levels, home prices were in the range of approximately $300,000 to approximately $340,000 on average, going from, December 2017 all the way until we hit approximately February of 2020, for example. Here's also a look at the percent distribution of home sales by price range for December. So have a look at this. For home sales in the range of $200,000 to approximately $300,000, that represented about 10% of all home sales in December. 1 year ago, it was 17%. Also on an annualized basis here, or an annual basis here, in 2021, approximately 21% of all home sales were in this price range, whereas in 2022, it decreased to 9%. This is one reason why the median sold price has been increasing, due to a lack of houses selling in the more affordable range. In contrast, though, look at this. For home sales in the range of $500,000 to approximately $749,000, in December 2021, that represented 22% of all home sales, and fast forward 1 year, it was approximately 30%. In other words, big picture here, we're seeing a lack of houses being sold in the more affordable range and more home sales in the more expensive range. And that's why home prices, or one of the reasons why home prices have been increasing. And again, when I mean home prices, I mean the median sold price here in the US, of course. Here's also a look at the number of houses that sold and also are for sale by stage of construction. So let's have a look at the number of houses for sale. And by the way, these are seasonally adjusted annualized rates here for houses that sold. And again, for houses for sale, they're seasonally adjusted, but they're not annualized rates. So number of houses for sale, again, annualized rates right here, and also seasonally adjusted. Again, there was 616,000 brand new home sales in the US as of December. The vast majority of these home sales, again, contracts being signed, was actually for houses under construction, because approximately 263,000 home sales were under construction out of the 616,000 total home sales. One thing I did notice, though, is that even though the vast majority of new home sales in December came from homes under construction, the levels in December are far below December 2021. Back then, there was 436,000 brand new houses for sale that were under construction, again, on an annualized basis. And fast forward to December 2022, there was 263,000. In other words, that represents a 40% decrease compared to 12 months ago. In regards to housing inventory, again, there's approximately 461,000 as of December. Again, not an annualized rate, but seasonally adjusted. The vast majority of these houses that are for sale are actually under construction. 291,000 out of the 461,000. And according to calculatedriskblog.com, the inventory of houses under construction at 291,000 is still very, very high, about 8% below the peak that we saw in July of 2022. And by the way, the peak last July was 316,000. Now there's approximately 291,000 houses under construction that are technically for sale. So that's houses under construction. Let's have a look at completed houses because there was approximately 71,000 completed houses that are technically for sale. This is approximately double the numbers that we saw in May at 36,000. So the number of completed houses for sale has more or less doubled since May of last year. And by the way, to give you guys some context regarding these numbers right here regarding completed houses for sale, at 71,000, this is still a very low number, of course, compared to the number of houses under construction that are for sale at 291,000. But at 71,000, again, it has more or less doubled since May of last year. And it has more than doubled since the all-time record lows that we saw back in January and February of 2022, when there's approximately 32,000 completed houses for sale. However, though, it's worth mentioning here that the month supply of completed houses is only sitting at 2 months right now. So the month supply of completed houses, based on that $71,000 figure right here, is only sitting at 2 months. 12 months ago, that figure was 3.2 months. And with that said, please comment below your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value in this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Of course, I appreciate you. Have an awesome day. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.